Well, looking at the stats today, Montana has had one of the highest COVID positive test numbers we've seen yet since this all began approximately in March. We've seen consecutive days now of record positive COVID numbers. So this is far from over, and Congress does need to act. The governor talks about working as a bipartisan fashion. Do you realize during this entire COVID pandemic, the governor has never once spoken to Republican leadership in Helena, the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House? Not once. And so when you're talking about, as the governor said, one of the greatest challenges we've ever faced, and he's talked about being very bipartisan, he has never sat down with Republican leadership, with the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate, as we talk about a path going forward that brings all Montanans together. In fact, if you remember, we passed that CARES package back in March. We sent $1.25 billion with a B back to the state of Montana. I fought for that. And I fought for that to make sure they got distributed across our entire state, to all 56 counties, all of our communities. Do you know that the governor has only spent 30% of that? 70% of those dollars are in his account instead of the accounts of our cities, our small towns, and our counties. Good grief, it's now nearly October. Many Montanans are hurting. And I'll talk about next in the back and forth what I want to see going forward here next with Congress. I'll give you an exhaustive list.
We are going to open it up now on this particular topic, and to start that segment, we'll begin with Governor Bullock.
Yeah, and Senator, you know that's actually not true in so many different ways. Like, even look when we made the June election by all-mail ballot. It was Speaker Hertz and the President of the Senate that said, great job, and we have met with them along the way. When it comes to those CARES dollars, you know that $1 billion has already been allocated, committed when we still have 4 months to go. Look, if we had waited for Washington, our schools wouldn't be open. The senator took a summer vacation about a month. Our universities wouldn't be testing. We wouldn't be providing a second round of relief along the way for our small businesses. And I would respectfully suggest that you get your own house in order. You fought for a $500 billion slush fund with no transparency. As of now, less than half of that money is even committed, let alone out the door. So let's actually help our businesses, our producers, our hospitals. That's what we've been doing here, and that's what I'll continue to focus on.
Senator Daines.
Yeah, well, it's talking about leadership. It's talking about how do we spend that $1.25 billion, which was this huge grant we gave the state of Montana. It's been radio silence and crickets with Republican leadership. That's how you bring it. If I'm the governor, I bring those leaders together and sit down. How are we going to allocate and then actually deliver that $1.25 billion? He used the words allocate. The question is, whose bank account is it in right now? It's in the state's bank account. It has not been actually transferred and delivered to so many communities across Montana that are hurting. But here's what we need to do in Washington. We need to continue to expand funding for testing. We need to continue to expand funding for treatments so we can lower the mortality rate of COVID-19. These amazing monoclonal antibodies, things like remdesivir, that are going to be key here to helping address those Montanans who actually contract the disease. We need to continue to get the vaccines developed, safely developed, and out to the American people of Montana to help our schools and our hospitals. Also, the Paycheck Protection Program that helped 24,000 Montana businesses to the tune of $1.7 billion. We need to replenish that fund to help so many Montana businesses keep their employees on their payroll.
Governor Bullock.
$1 billion has been committed already, about $1.1 billion. It's actually on the website, so you could see where that money goes. If we had been waiting for Steve Daines to bring Democrats and Republicans together, our K-12 schools would not be open right now, because they said they'd take care of testing along the way, or they'd provide what our schools need. They never got it done. Our universities wouldn't be open. We committed $20 million for them. They couldn't wait on the university. I worked with President Trump to get extended unemployment benefits for a little while. So at the end of the day, what we need to do is actually make sure, first of all, dollars are going where they need to be. Everyone from Inga's Fashion in Great Falls to a sawmill operator said, you know, the PPP rules, I didn't even deal with it because I never knew what would happen. We've been focusing on Montana businesses along the way, getting them the money, and we'll continue for the next 4 months. And we'll see if Washington ever gets its act together.
Final word to Senator Daines.
Well, I said early on that only 30% of the dollars have been spent. The governor went from, well, they've been allocated, to his rebuttal was, well, they've been committed. Look on the website. My question is, where are the dollars? Show me the money. If I'm in Miles City or in Plentywood or in Eureka, I want those dollars in my city's coffers where I can help people who are currently in need. And regarding the Paycheck Protection Program, over 24,000 Montana businesses participated in that. $1.7 billion was sent to the state of Montana. That helps our small businesses of 20 employees or less keep their employees on their payroll. I'll tell you, one of the greatest threats to healthcare right now in healthcare insurance is losing your job. You lose your job, given that 40% of Montanans receive their healthcare through their employer, you lose your job, you lose your healthcare. That's what we did there. It was so important. And I'm just very disappointed that the governor has not been really out front here, getting these dollars actually in the accounts across Montana. And regarding testing, the money for testing hasn't all been spent yet. We allocated billions of dollars here for testing around the country. Montana hasn't spent all its testing dollars yet.